Hi, this is the elementary Sunday school lesson for this coming Sunday, May 26th. We moved to one service this Sunday, so there is no 9 a.m. service. So the 10 o'clock education is the beginning of the day for Sunday. Education is in the purple classroom in the fellowship building as usual. The story the kids are reading is on page 210 of the Shine Bible. It's called Enough Food by the Sea. And this is the story of the loaves and fishes being miraculously reproduced to feed 5,000 people. And the story itself is fairly long, but easily broken up if the kids want to share reading it, however that works best for them. This is an interesting story because while this particular version we're reading today comes from Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 44, all four Gospels have a version of it. So one of the activities is to have kids read, distribute Bibles and have volunteers read the other versions. This is on page 82 under Connect up here. And so the other versions are 14, verse 13 through 21, Luke chapter 9, verses 12 through 17, and John chapter 6, verses 4 through 13. I'll have 3 other Bibles tagged with those spots so that you can read them, and then the kids can kind of compare the stories and talk about what the differences are and why they think those differences exist. One of the things they talk about is that, even if you and your friends are in the same situation, maybe it's a birthday party, maybe it's a classroom doing classwork, everyone has a slightly different memory of what happened because of their perspective, and thinking about that in terms of the Bible and the gospel writers is a particularly interesting thing to do for, I think, kids at this age. So there's some writing activities and also some discussion activities. So hopefully that's what they're in the mood for. Under the Build Community here, it's on page 80 of the lesson that I'll send you. They're talking about the importance of sharing food. And what I would like to take away from that is have our kids think about the opportunities that we offer here at church to share food with our community. And then maybe there's other opportunities that they experience outside of church, through school, through their own personal households. Examples here at church would be the first Sunday food offering that we do. And it would also include things like the homeless bags that often have food and drink and water, and then that would be sharing. The things we do in our own fellowship hall, right, where we had a celebration for Fran or a memorial service for Reagan Miller. This is where people are coming together and we're sharing what we have with people who aren't necessarily in our congregation but are in our community. So just have them kind of brainstorm that themselves. So then the main activity here is under Peace Notes, and this is on page 81 of the lesson. And it's getting the kids in a circle. They'll have a piece of paper and put it on a clipboard so it's easy to write, or they can sit at the table, but sometimes it's good to get them sitting in a circle, maybe a little different location. And the one child will start and they will write down on a piece of paper how we share what we have. And this can be any example they want, right? From generosity with things versus generosity with ourselves and forgiveness. Maybe that, I'll just read the example they give you. The first child writes down a way that he or she might share or show kindness to someone, such as helping clean up after the soccer practice or baking someone muffins. Then they pass the clipboard to the next person, and that person imagines receiving that kindness and writes down how they would then pass that kindness on. Perhaps by someone else has cleaned up after soccer practice so they get home early and they can help make dinner, or they can split their muffin in half and give it to someone else. So you are the recipient of that action, and then you write down how you take that action and turn it into helping another person until it's gone completely around the circle. And it requires, I think, a little bit of thinking on their part, and also the idea of when you receive an action, how do you then turn around and make sure that you pass it along, as opposed to just saying, cool, I got that. So reading the different Bible, the different gospel versions of this story, writing down the responses to the kindnesses, and reading the story, responding to the questions. The wonder and reflect questions are, let me find those for you. There's a couple of good ones I liked. I wonder what the people told others about what they'd seen and heard. So when you realize that you only have 5 loaves and 2 fishes, but 5,000 people ate, how do you tell people about that? And is there anything crazy in their life that they've experienced that they wanted to tell someone about but couldn't really explain? And then how do you think Jesus feeds and teaches people today? Again, that question comes down to us as the people who act as Jesus in the world today. Where do they see instances of that going on? So those are 2 great questions that I saw. Anything else in here that you want to do with the kids is fine. Oh, there is also this, in case someone wants to work quietly by themselves because they can't focus. This is a sheet out of the Glow magazine, and it has this big grid on it that literally contains 5,000 little squares. And the instructions on here say, the squares are grouped in groups of 50 and 100, just like the people that Jesus fed in his story. Use the grid to help draw pictures or write words that remind you of the story. They have the example of a little fish up here in the corner. They could use the grid to draw larger pictures or create words, whatever they want to do. This is a solitary, you're sitting at the table being quiet while everyone else is working on the other discussion. So I'll have those copies in there as well. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much.